serve 2 hungry people for a main course or 4 people for a starter, you'll need about 900 grams, that's 2 pounds, of pork spare ribs separated. You can get your butcher to do that for you. 1 tablespoon of freshly grated root ginger and 2 garlic cloves finely crushed. 4 tablespoons, that's 2 fluid ounces of soy sauce. 6 tablespoons, 3 fluid ounces of honey. 4 tablespoons, 2 fluid ounces of hoisin sauce. And 4 tablespoons, 2 fluid ounces of sweet chilli sauce. To get a really good flavour, it's best to marinate for at least 2 hours and up to 12 hours. So you can either place them in a shallow container, even the container that you bought it in. However, I actually like to place them in a plastic bag because during the marinating time you're going to have to turn them, and if they're in a bag it's a lot easier to do than having to uncover it and then turn them all individually. So whichever is preferable or easier for you, place them all in the dish or in the bag and then set that aside whilst you make the marinade. To make the marinade, it's as simple as just placing all the marinade ingredients into a container and mixing it thoroughly. So we have the garlic and the ginger, soy sauce, hoisin sauce, sweet chilli sauce. Now you have to be a little bit careful because sweet chilli sauces actually do vary in their heat intensity, so it might be an idea once you've mixed all of this just to taste it. Dip your finger in and have a taste to make sure it's not too hot for you. Lastly, in goes the honey, and then just give it a good old stir with a whisk or a spoon until it's very, very well blended. Once that's well mixed up, pour it over your ribs, whether you've placed it in a bag or in a dish. Do use a non-metallic dish for this. Then macerate that around and turn it over. Be careful of the bones so that they don't puncture a hole in the bag if this is the way you're doing it. But it's worth the extra care because when I come to turn this during the marinating time, it will be so much quicker. If you're in any doubt at all, in fact, even if you're not in doubt, it's a good idea to test the integrity of the bag if this is the way you're going to marinate your meat. And that's easily done just by filling it with some ordinary tap water, just to make sure there aren't any leaks. So seal up the bag, place it on a plate just to be double sure, and place in the refrigerator for between 2 and 12 hours. And you'll need to turn your ribs 2 or 3 times during the marinating period just to make sure they're all well coated. And you'll do this whether you're doing it in this bag or in a container. So once your ribs have been marinating for as long as you wanted, and you've turned them a couple of times, you need to transfer them to an oven-proof dish or tin. It needs to be large enough to take the ribs in one layer without them being too jammed up together, so we've got a little space between each rib. I've lined this ordinary roasting tin with foil just purely to save me having to do a lot of scrubbing at the end of the cooking time, because the mixture does get quite sticky. Anyway, transfer your ribs to your shallow dish together with the marinade, and you should preheat your oven to 170 degrees centigrade. That's 325 Fahrenheit, gas mark 3. Space your ribs out. And then you need to cover them with foil. What this process is going to do is to partially steam them out so that they are melt in the mouth, fall off the bone. And we cook them, once we've covered it, for about an hour, depending on how large the ribs are. So after about an hour, remove the ribs from the oven, uncover, and they should be really soft. Increase the oven temperature to at least 200 centigrade, that's 400 Fahrenheit, gas mark 7. Turn or baste them so that they're well covered with the marinade, and then return to the very hot oven for at least 20 minutes until the marinade has reduced and gone all sticky and the ribs have caramelised and browned. Oriental sticky ribs.